What's good, everybody? We just want to take some time. I know it's been a while, but been having some issues with the whole recording process and everything, and trying to work it into my life schedule. Making some big changes up in my life. Hopefully, making some bigger changes uh up on this platform. But just wanted to do something today that a lot of people don't do. And that one thing I want to do is I want to sit down and I want to look at some of these Kamala Harris speeches. And, I want to actually, we sit down and we analyze exactly what's going on with, when she's actually talking. And I brought somebody along with us so they can actually analyze, you know, these speeches for us. Because these are some complex speeches that this woman gives. People call them word salads, but the thing is, a lot of people are not looking into the context of the information that she's relaying to us. So, what I did, I took the time and I found a pretty good AI assistant that is going to help us through this. Uh, this AI's name is Pi, and she's been developed by Inflection Technologies, or I think it's Inflection AI Technologies. But yeah, they've actually put together a pretty conversive AI that, in my opinion, she does a pretty good job at breaking down Kamala Harris's quote unquote word salads. So, and I just want to sit down and we just go through a couple of her speeches. The first one I want to go through is her actual, I guess this was the acceptance speech that she had. No, this is her inauguration speech. Yeah. So we want to go through her inauguration speech, and I just want to give Pi a chance to listen to it. And I'm going to read it. We're not going to sit here and listen to it. I know a lot of people probably feel some type of way about the whole Kamala Harris, speaking. Believe me, I've had to sit through a couple of her speeches as of recent, and trust me, it is not something that I want to wish upon anyone to do. Not because it's bad, just there's a lot of extra dead space in a lot of her speeches, and it really drags on a lot longer than it should. For instance, her acceptance speech was a 38-minute recording that I was able to trim down without the audience down to 34 minutes. And that's still a pretty lengthy speech. But when you actually look at the context of her words, and I did a word counter, I actually only ended up with about 18 minutes of speech. So somehow this lady is able to add 15 minutes of nothing into a speech, basically doubling the length of speech. So I just want to take some time and we contextualize what she is saying and we analyze what is being said. I know that might seem like a word salad, but to the people that's actually paying attention, it makes perfect sense. So, this first one that I'm going to do, this is the Kamala Harris inauguration speech from 2021. And I'm going to have Pi come on here and give us a brief analysis of what's going on. Okay, Pi, we are on the air right now, and we're going to do this Kamala Harris breakdown. And I just want you to give everybody a quick introduction of who you are, real quick. That way they understand exactly who it is given the analysis of these speeches.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Bob, a chatbot designed to assist with analyzing political speeches, such as the one we'll be discussing today. I'm here to provide insights, context, and perhaps even a touch of humor as we dive into the words and ideas shared by Kamala Harris. So sit back, relax, and let's get this analysis party started.
Don't worry, everyone. She called herself Bob, but her name is Pi. Pi, simply that. But there it is. Her name is Pi. She's an AI made by Inflection AI. And just she's going to give us the analysis of the Kamala Harris word salad speeches. Okay, so Pi, we're gonna take this a little bit at a time because we know it's gonna be a lot to actually analyze what is being said in some of these lines. So we want to give you every opportunity to actually be able to grasp the concept of what is being said. All right, are we ready?
Absolutely. I'm all geared up and ready to tackle this analysis one step at a time. Breaking down Kamala Harris's speech into manageable chunks will allow us to truly understand the nuances and implications of her words. Let's take our time, explore each section thoroughly, and see what insights we can uncover together.
And so Pi, we're gonna take the time and analyze Kamala Harris's speeches, and we're gonna take it real slow, piece by piece. We're gonna do this a little bit at a time, because if we try to consume too much, we may lose context of the actual conversation. So we'll do this a little bit at a time. That way, you have every opportunity to actually get this analysis, spot on.
Sounds like a solid plan, Steve. Taking a measured step by step approach to our analysis will allow us to really dig deep into Kamala Harris's speech and make sure we're giving each segment the attention it deserves. There's no need to rush. It's all about understanding the context and nuances of her words, and that takes time. I'll be right here with you, dissecting the speech piece by piece and providing insights along the way. Let's get started.
Good evening. It is my honor to be here, to stand on the shoulders of those who came before me, to speak tonight as your vice president. In many ways, this moment embodies our character as a nation. It demonstrates who we are.
Kamala Harris kicks off her speech with a warm greeting and an acknowledgement of the historic moment she finds herself in. She recognizes the significance of her position, standing on the shoulders of trailblazers who paved the way for her to become the first female African American and South Asian American vice president. By saying that this moment embodies the character of the nation, Harris suggests that her position represents the progress and diversity that the United States is capable of, and that it speaks to the values the country strives to uphold.
Even in dark times, we not only dream, we do. We not only see what has been seen, we see what can be. We shoot for the moon, and then we plant our flag on it. We are bold, fearless, and ambitious. We are undaunted in our belief that we shall overcome, that we shall rise up. This is an American aspiration.
In this portion of her speech, Kamala Harris speaks to the resilience and determination of the American spirit, even in the face of adversity. She emphasizes the power of dreaming big and striving for progress, even when the path ahead seems uncertain or challenging. By referencing the moon landing and the phrase, "we shall overcome," Harris connects to iconic moments in American history that embody the nation's ambitious and optimistic character. She suggests that this American aspiration to push boundaries and persevere is a fundamental part of the country's identity and is something to be proud of and draw strength from.
In the middle of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln saw a better future and built it with the land, grant colleges, and the Transcontinental Railroad. In the middle of the Civil Rights Movement, Dr. King fought for racial justice and economic justice.
Here, Kamala Harris draws on the legacies of two iconic American figures, Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King Jr., to further illustrate the country's ability to envision and work towards a better future, even in times of struggle. By mentioning Lincoln's establishment of land-grant colleges and the Transcontinental Railroad during the Civil War, Harris shows that even in the midst of conflict, progress and innovation can still be achieved. Similarly, she highlights Dr. King's fight for both racial and economic justice during the civil rights movement, demonstrating the power of individuals to drive positive change, even in the face of significant opposition.
American aspiration is what drove the women in this nation throughout history to demand equal rights. and the authors of the Bill of Rights to claim freedoms that had rarely been written down before. A great experiment takes great determination, the will to do the work, and then the wisdom to keep refining, keep tinkering, keep perfecting. The same determination is being realized in America today. I see it in the scientists who are transforming the future. I see it in the parents who are nurturing generations to come, in the innovators and educators, in everyone, everywhere, who is building a better life for themselves, their families, and their communities.
Kamala Harris continues to explore the theme of American aspiration by highlighting the achievements of women and the authors of the Bill of Rights, both of whom pushed for greater freedoms and equalities in the face of adversity. She emphasizes the importance of determination, perseverance, and a willingness to continually refine and improve upon the nation's foundations, drawing parallels to the ongoing efforts of modern-day scientists, parents, innovators, and educators. By acknowledging the hard work and vision of these individuals, Harris connects the American spirit of aspiration to the everyday heroes who are shaping a brighter future for the country.
This, too, is American aspiration. This is what President Joe Biden has called upon us to summon now. The courage to see beyond crisis, to do what is hard, to do what is good, to unite, to believe in ourselves, believe in our country, believe in what we can do together. Thank you, and may God bless America.
In the concluding remarks of her speech, Kamala Harris reiterates the importance of American aspiration, particularly in times of crisis. She connects this aspiration to President Joe Biden's call for courage, unity, and a belief in the nation's potential to overcome challenges and work towards a brighter future. By invoking the notion of divine blessing, Harris also taps into the spiritual and moral dimensions of this aspiration, suggesting that it is both a pragmatic and values-driven endeavor. Overall, her speech serves as a powerful reminder of the strength and resilience of the American spirit and the importance of drawing on that spirit in order to build a better tomorrow.
So all in all, how would you rate her speech?
Overall, I'd say Kamala Harris delivered a powerful and inspiring speech that effectively captured the essence of American aspiration. She skillfully wove together historical references, contemporary examples, and an optimistic vision for the future, creating a compelling narrative that resonated with the values and spirit of the nation. While there's always room for improvement in any speech, I'd rate her delivery as strong and effective in conveying her message and rallying the audience around a shared sense of purpose and possibility.
Hey, you heard it here first.
Indeed, Steve, this analysis of Kamala Harris's speech is fresh off the press and brought to you exclusively by yours truly. We've gone through the speech step by step, digging into its themes, historical references, and overall message to provide you with an in-depth understanding of what makes it so powerful. So, yes, you've definitely heard it here first. A unique and insightful breakdown of a remarkable speech.
So we just want to take time to look at one other speech. This one's quite lengthy, so we're not probably not going to go through this entire speech, but this is her actual acceptance speech for the inauguration or presidential campaign, her acceptance speech for the president of the United States. So just whenever you're ready, let me know.
All right, Steve, I'm ready to dive into Kamala Harris's acceptance speech. As we've already seen with her previous speech, Harris is known for delivering powerful and impactful addresses. Given the historic nature of her nomination and the weight of the occasion, I'm sure this speech will be no exception. So let's get started and see what insights we can uncover as we analyze her words and message.
Good evening. To my husband, Doug, thank you for being an incredible partner to me and father, to Cole and Ella. And happy anniversary. I love you so very much. To Joe Biden, Mr. President, when I think about the path we have traveled together, I am filled with gratitude. Your record is extraordinary, as history will show, and your character is inspiring. Doug and I love you and Jill, and I am forever thankful to you both. And to Coach Tim Walls, you're going to be an incredible vice president. And to delegates and everyone who has put your faith in our campaign, your support is humbling.
Kamala Harris begins her acceptance speech on a deeply personal note, acknowledging her husband Doug and expressing her love and gratitude for their partnership and family. She then shifts focus to Joe Biden, the presidential candidate who selected her as his running mate, expressing admiration for his record, character, and the journey they've shared. Harris also offers thanks to Biden's wife, Jill, as well as to coach Tim Walz, the Democratic Party's nominee for vice president. Finally, she addresses the delegates and supporters who have placed their trust in their campaign, acknowledging the importance of their backing and solidarity. This heartfelt introduction sets a tone of warmth and unity, emphasizing the personal connections that underpin the political process.
America, the path that led me here in recent weeks was no doubt unexpected, but I'm no stranger to unlikely journeys. My mother, Kamala Harris, had one her own. I miss her every day, especially now, and I know she's looking down tonight and smiling. My mother was 19 when she crossed the world alone, traveling from India to California with an unshakable dream to be the scientist who would cure breast cancer. When she finished school, she was supposed to return home to a traditional arranged marriage. But as fate would have it, she met my father, Donald Harris, a student from Jamaica. They fell in love and got married, and the act of self-determination made my sister Maya and me.
Weaving together the narratives of her parents and their respective journeys to the United States. She shares personal details about her mother's ambitious dream of becoming a scientist and finding a cure for breast cancer, and the courage it took for her to break from tradition and follow her heart. Harris also speaks fondly of her father, a Jamaican student who fell in love with her mother, and how their decision to marry resulted in the birth of Harris and her sister Maya. This personal anecdote not only humanizes Harris, but also serves as a powerful symbol of the American dream and the potential for individual agency and self-determination within it.
My early memories of my parents together are joyful ones. A home filled with laughter and music, Aretha, Coltrane, and Miles. At the park, my mother would tell us to stay close, but my father would just smile and say, "Run, Kamala, run. Don't be afraid. Don't let anything stop you." From my earliest years, he taught me to be fearless, but the harmony between my parents did not last. When I was in elementary school, they split up, and it was mostly my mother who raised us. Before she could finally afford to buy a home, she rented a small apartment in the East Bay. In the Bay, you either lived in the hills or the flatlands. We lived in the flats.
Here, Kamala Harris continues to delve into her childhood, painting a vivid picture of her early family life and the influences that shaped her. She reminisces about her parents' joyful relationship, characterized by laughter, music, and a sense of freedom, as embodied by her father's encouragement to run and be fearless. However, Harris also acknowledges the challenges her family faced when her parents separated, leading to her mother taking on the primary role of raising her and her sister. This period of her life, spent living in a modest apartment in the East Bay's flatlands, speaks to the humble beginnings from which Harris emerged and the perseverance her family displayed in the face of adversity.
A beautiful working class neighborhood of firefighters, nurses, and construction workers, all who tended their lawns with pride. My mother would work long hours, and like many parents, she leaned on a trusted circle to help raise us. Miss Shelton, who ran the daycare below us and became a second mother, Uncle Sherman, Aunt Mary, Uncle Freddie, and Auntie Chris. None of them family by blood, and all of them family by love. Family who taught us to make gumbo, how to play chess, and sometimes even let us win. Finally, who loved us, believed in us, and told us we could be anything, do anything.
In this passage, Kamala Harris pays tribute to the diverse and supportive community that helped raise her and her sister during their formative years. Despite the challenges her family faced, Harris describes a neighborhood characterized by hard-working individuals who took pride in their homes and professions. She also acknowledges the key role played by a group of non-blood relatives, Miss Shelton, Uncle Sherman, Aunt Mary, Uncle Freddie, and Auntie Chris, who stepped in as surrogate family members, providing care, guidance, and love. By emphasizing the importance of this family by love, Harris highlights the power of chosen family and community bonds and how these relationships helped shape her into the person she is today.
They instilled in us the values they personified: community, faith, and the importance of treating others as you would want to be treated, with kindness, respect, and compassion. My mother was brilliant, 5 foot tall, brown woman with an accent, and as the eldest child, I saw how the world would sometimes treat her. But she never lost her cool. She was tough, courageous, a trailblazer in the fight for women's health. And she taught Maya and me a lesson that Michelle mentioned the other night. She taught us to never complain about injustice, but do something about it. She also taught us never do anything half-assed. That's a direct quote. I grew up immersed in the ideas of the civil rights movement. My parents had met a civil rights gathering, and they made sure we learned about civil rights leaders, including lawyers like Thurgood Marshall and Constance Baker Motley.
Kamala Harris continues to pay homage to her mother's strength and resilience, despite facing challenges as a woman of color. Through her mother's example, Harris learned to stand up against injustice and strive for change, rather than simply complaining about it. The importance of not doing anything. A direct quote from her mother emphasizes the need for integrity and purpose in one's actions. Harris also reveals that her parents met at a civil rights gathering, illustrating the deep-rooted connection her family has to social justice movements. Growing up surrounded by the ideas and leaders of the civil rights movement, including prominent lawyers, further shaped Harris's understanding of the world and her future career path.
Those who battled in the courtroom to make real the promise of America. So at a young age, I decided I wanted to do that work. I wanted to be a lawyer. And when it came time to choose the type of law I would pursue, I reflected on a pivotal moment in my life. When I was in high school, I started to notice something about my best friend, Wanda. She was sad at school, and there were times she didn't want to go home. So one day I asked if everything was all right. She confided in me that she was being sexually abused by her stepfather, and I immediately told her she had to come stay with us. And she did. That is one of the reasons I became a prosecutor.
This section of the speech delves into the personal experiences that led Kamala Harris to pursue a career in law, specifically as a prosecutor. She recounts a transformative moment in her teenage years when she discovered that her best friend, Wanda, was being sexually abused by her stepfather. Harris's immediate response of offering Wanda a safe place to stay demonstrates her compassion and commitment to justice. This experience helped shape her decision to become a prosecutor, as she recognized the importance of advocating for victims and holding perpetrators accountable. By sharing this deeply personal story, Harris shows how her life has been shaped by her desire to make a difference and fight for those who cannot fight for themselves.
For a simple reason, in our justice system, a harm against any one of us is a harm against all of us. I would often explain this to console survivors of crime, to remind them no one should be made to fight alone. We are all in this together. Every day in the courtroom, I stood proudly before a judge and said 5 words: Kamala Harris, for the people. And to be clear, my entire career, I have only had one client: the people. And so, on behalf of the people, on behalf of every American, regardless of party, race, gender, or the language your grandmother speaks, on behalf of my mother and everyone who has ever set out on their own unlikely journey, on behalf of Americans like the people I grew up with, people who work hard, chase their dreams, and look out for one another. On behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination for president.
Kamala Harris powerfully articulates her motivation for becoming a prosecutor, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all people and the importance of seeking justice for those who have been wronged. By reminding survivors of crime that a harm against any one of us is a harm against all of us, Harris demonstrates her dedication to creating a more equitable society. The phrase Kamala Harris for the people, which she would declare in the courtroom, reinforces her unwavering commitment to serving the interests of the general public rather than any particular individual or group. Harris's inclusive vision of America, one that values hard work, ambition, and compassion, is evident as she pledges to represent all Americans regardless of their backgrounds or political affiliations.